current balance for today?
I would have to refer to Beth on that. Is that the current? The 2024 balance on the sheet is $849,178. Is that the current balance as of when you printed it?
No, that is not. So the beginning balance is the 630, and then we're estimating on the EMS receivables through the year end.
Okay. So, okay,
So we're on target for that.
year end 2023?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I do have a follow-up question.
Okay.
Then if you go, hypothetically, if you're gonna spend $1 million, okay, your balance should go down by $1 million, and then accrue for a number of years, and then you hit your next expense, and it goes down again. So, the balance needs to reflect the purchases, right?
Well, what happens is the expense comes out of the general fund, because the special revenue fund does not have a checkbook with it. So the expense comes out of the general fund, and then we reimburse the special revenue fund after. At year end is when we do the transfer to and from.
I'm good with that. The question is, if you look at the 2023 number as 630, 849, and 1,033 in 25. Somewhere along the way here, if you bought something for $1 million, it should go down by $1 million. If you look at all the numbers, it never go down.
The balance isn't going, the balance
Looks like
is
an
going up.
accrued
It
number.
keeps yeah, I
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
So it should, at some point, and you might even use your Ouija board to figure out exactly when the
So,
cost is going to hit.
so you would, so this column in under 2024 bottom line should read a minus then, correct?
No, because you get minused when it actually gets billed out.
Okay, I'm
So
talking about.
that's what I
that.
meant by the Ouija board. So I'm trying to figure, because you probably don't know exactly, what was it, 18 months you said last time?
Correct. It's 583 days from the time we order the truck. So if it passes and we order it in March after town meeting, it's 583 days to delivery, and that point, we will have to naturally pay out for the truck.
So
It wouldn't
at
be
that
out till
point,
25.
that year, there should be a negative $1 million off this balance.
Correct.
That's all I'm trying to get across here, so we can actually see,
How it marches out.
yeah, because, I mean, I could do the math, but I think having this more correct benefit us, and assuming you know when it's going to actually be billed.
We could
Yeah.
do that. All right.
So, just looking at this now, if this gets billed out in, because it's going to be March of 2024, and so it's going to be the third quarter in 2026?
Correct.
5, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong. Okay. So if that 1,033,000 would be 33,000 technically if it was $1 million. You see I'm getting that?
Yes.
Okay, so the reason I bring this up is there's always a chance of some money being purchased out of the taxes. But I think the setting up of this fund was supposed to fund the equipment.
Correct.
And so, okay. At some point, could you get this updated back to us?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
How long
so,
does it take to get a truck?
5 from the time that it's ordered, it's pretty much everybody is in the 580-day range. Build it before delivery.
Almost 2 years.
Pretty close too, yeah. 18 months.
So we may not even have enough to pay for that truck if you get the utility truck, because that's 120,000 this
The-
year. So you may
the-
not have $1 million left. Well, you got that, and then you got pages
No,
involved.
that was 2023 town meeting.
Oh,
So
you've
that's
already done that?
yeah.
Oh.
have you taken the money out of the balance?
It looked like it did come out of
That, yes, the
Yeah.
pickup truck has been paid for. The pagers of 13,175, that's been That's been all done.
Good.
All right.
But if you look at the beginning balance in 2023, and then what they received, and then that's more than 750, and the balance is 630, so that did come out.
Okay. We'll go to that.
Yeah, we'll adjust the lines and make, and get that, a copy to you guys, so I understand what you're saying, so that marches out, you can actually see what you're taking out of that account.
Now, Chief, I got a couple questions. One is, I notice $1 million when it's brought up for an expense.
Yep,
And I know over the last 3 years, we're up almost 20%. You know, just by inflationary numbers, close to anyways. So, do you have any idea what's driving the price on this? Is it just cost across the board?
it's the cost, it's costs across the board, it's labor costs, it's material cost is a huge thing. Again, the truck is not changing. The basic truck is still the same. The ambulances are still the same. You know, we're ordering almost the same exact body, the same chassis. Everything is the same. It's just the cost of materials, labor, everything has just gone up. And the new, I've heard that there's some new even EPA stuff that may be coming out down the road that's going to impact this even more moving forward with any vehicle that you buy, commercial vehicle.
Now, this includes not only the truck, the physical truck, but all the stuff that goes in the truck?
I'm hoping to move some of the equipment off of that's still serviceable off of engine one and utilize that. Like we just had all our 4-inch hose replaced. So we have that 1,600 feet of hose that we don't have to buy. We can put that on there. There's some equipment, but some equipment will have to be bought and
Is that
purchased out.
is that in the $1 million?
That is not in the million. In the million, we put that number out there, because the only quote so far that we got back was 940,000, and that truck wasn't meeting the specs that we had spec'd out. And believe me, we didn't spec out anything horrendous or any kind of crazy apparatus. Is basically to replace what we have, and we need water. So engine one, this engine will have a lot more water on it than engine one did naturally. It's just a larger truck.
1,800 gallons?
It's 1650 is seems to be the max we're getting on a single axle truck.
Okay. And the other question I've got is, you're replacing a foil drive with a two-wheel drive, am I correct?
Correct. Yes, engine one is a 4-wheel drive.
Could you have a kind of a conversation on, with all the, Clough State Park, unplowed back and all poorly plowed areas, and a lot of the Class 6 private roads and people's driveways before we had the driveway requirement, is extremely challenging at best during the summer. And then you throw on top of that ice and snow and maybe not even plowed well. Is that going to be a distraction for you guys, trying to get to the fire or the need, follow the ambulance?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have, and we've successfully used the utility. And this year or last year we bought the new utility with the new plow and stuff, replacing our old Ford pickup. When there's anticipated a larger snowfall or a storm coming in or ice storm, we usually put a couple of extra people on staff at the station. So instead of running 2, we run 4, and that staff will take out and they will be in the plow truck. And as soon as the tone goes off, they will go out first and naturally the pickup truck could make it there faster than the ambulance or a fire truck can. So we have the ability to plow the driveway for people. Not saying we're gonna plow it perfect, but plow it enough so we could get our apparatus in there. We do have chains currently for our engines that we have now, so we will chain, and we have in the past, we chain up the engines if, again, we have a big storm coming in. And the engines also have the automatic on-spot chains that are on them. And we carry, sand, salt and stuff with us where needed. The ambulances are four-wheel drive. In some cases where I know we've been places, we will actually utilize the, if not the pickup, the forestry, because the forestry is four-wheel drive, and we could get around with that vehicle too. I could tell, yeah, and that's a good point, Chief. And DPW and those guys are great. If they hear something coming on the radio, they're in that area, they'll shoot down the road, and even if it was just plowed, they'll lay down a boatload of sand and stuff like that for us to get around with. I could say that I worked here per diem in the town for 11, 12 years prior to becoming full-time here. And I would say engine one was utilized, I could probably count on one hand in the past 10 to 15 years that we took that out where we needed a four-wheel drive situation. You know, most of the time that truck has been out in Clough Park or something like that for brush fire, but it's been during the summertime, you know. In the wintertime, naturally, if there's something burning, it's usually covered in snow or snow covered, so it doesn't really matter. But the added expense for that, I couldn't even tell you. I would tend to guess maybe like another at least $50,000 to $75,000 because it's such a heavy front end in that truck that you would need, you know, to outfit that with four-wheel drive. Yeah, and as Chief just said, the maintenance on that too, you know, where it's going down the road, it's gonna go down the road more often in dry conditions than it would be you're gonna operate the four-wheel drive.
So this is replacing the one that's in Eastware. So basically, this vehicle will now be in the Ware Center or Southware, the new vehicle?
The new engine will be at the center station, yes.
And so I'm not familiar with all your vehicles. Would it be the first one responding to a house fire?
Yes.
Okay, so this is your primary response vehicle?
Yep, the vehicles will go out and there'll be currently right now, engine 5 is up at Southware, but engine 2 would, current frontline truck here at the center station would hence go up to the south. Everything would just kind of rotate. And the new engine would be put at central. That way there, we get the lifespan out of engine 2. And because that has to last another, 15 years or so before that's up for replacement, which is shown later on. Oh, actually it's not. It's in 2037 is when engine 2 would end up being replaced.
So this is basically close to by the time you replace it, existing, it'll be almost 40 years.
What's that?
87 to 2020, 26, 25 when you get it in.
Oh yeah, this engine has well served the town of Ware, for sure. And the engine was really it was unique because it was small enough to fit into the Sugar Hill station. It was four-wheel drive, and it was kind of meant to be down in the Clough Park area. That was the whole intention of that. But honestly, I mean, we have a four-wheel drive brush truck that we respond to out of the central station that, is definitely more maneuverable, easier to drive. you know, and it's four-wheel drive, has a winch on it, it has all other equipment on it and stuff like that, so, you know, the truck being an 87 and having the pump go out of service and not being, the parts to replace the pump aren't even available anymore. That's hence why that hasn't been fixed.
Any other questions of the chief?
Just curious what the scrap value is on that.
I don't know. There was talk for the couple people that I talked to. There's a firehouse or a fire truck used place. It's called Brindle Lee Mountain. They're in South Carolina, and they're basically like just they sell used fire trucks. And a lot of the stuff that gets traded in goes down there. And that truck may be good for someone who, you know, wants to take the pump off and use it as a four-wheel drive farm rig or something, you know? Or if it's a farmer just using the pump until the pump blows up on it. You know, it's just that we can't take that chance of the pump going out on it if someone's relying on the water to.
Now, you didn't factor in any, in this $1 million price, any trade-in value, did you?
No, nope, none of the trade-in value. I wouldn't imagine that truck would pull any more than maybe $8,000 or so in that ballpark.
Okay. No other questions of the chief? Could you update this chart? for us?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you folks will get that to reflect that.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you for your service.
thank you.
All right. Chief, you want to see if there's any questions? I mean, I think I understand. If you could just go over the numbers again, what the value of this, is it the VW, is that the right one, the VW settlement fund that's paying part of this, or is that the trucks?
That's the trucks.
Okay. So,
So this is just replacement of a patrol vehicle. The Congressional Budget Office estimated inflation to be 3.3% this year, so last year's cost plus that interest rate is $84,190, so I'm asking for the warrant article to be $85,000. We do have opportunity to possibly get some of the equipment on grant, but we won't know, of course, if we get equipment being an in-car computer, MDT, possibly a radar, possibly a something else we could possibly get. But if we get any equipment, obviously we won't need to purchase that, which would just go back to the town. Tax relief eventually, I believe, is how it would work. And of course, the trade-in value of whichever 2017 is in the worst shape at that time. I will say I just did the numbers on the 2017 Dodges, looked at repair costs for this year because we had to tow one again yesterday. It broke down in Goffstown. I budget $10,000 for repairs for all 7 vehicles. On my 3 Dodges, they averaged $3,900 each for the year. So just on those 3 Dodges, I've already exceeded my budget for my entire fleet. My 2018 Dodge is at $1,200 year to date this year. And of course, that doesn't include the repairs for whatever broke on car 3 yesterday. So the fleet is going to be in very rough shape for years to come until I believe it's, if I look at the chart, when we get rid of the Dodges, 2026 or 2027, it looks like the last Dodge goes out, if we get 1 vehicle a year. But that's just the base overview of everything. Attempting to get everything in a life cycle program. The patrol vehicles would last 6 years, which would be somewhere in the 150,000 mile range. Engine hours would be actually, according to manufacturer specifics, would be about 250,000 miles because they do sit in idle because of the electronics when we're using them. If there's any questions on that.
So you're asking 85,000?
Correct.
Okay. And based on your reuse, it could get out?
That would be the top end if I had to replace everything. I don't anticipate replacing everything.
Okay.
I'm 95% sure I'll be able to at least reuse one of the radar units from whichever, but I haven't determined which car would go out. But I'm pretty sure we'll still have life cycle on one of the radars.
And your radios, do they have to be updated?
So the radio would have to be new because I'm still going to use those radios. They would just go in the command vehicle. The command vehicle actually gets 3 radios to handle ICS.
Yes.
So the older radios, I'm going to take and put in the command vehicle.
Okay. Any other questions?
All right, do you want the camera system or? That might change.
Okay, explain might change.
So I just came across this morning, the town purchasing policy, there's an exemption for emergency purposes. Generally means or relates to emergency repairs to equipment or facilities which must be kept operational, protect the health and/or safety of persons or property. I'm going to talk with the town administrator about that later today, but the emergency purchase may be made by a department head. So apparently I have the authority to make that purchase, and I intend to. I have it in my budget. That's going to happen.
So you're looking at taking this off the table, 30,000?
Yes, I'll know. I'll shoot you an email as soon as I verify that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, but I think that one of the biggest things we've learned over the last 20 years is that it reduces the town of Ware's liability for wrongful suits.
Yep.
Claims against something you might have done, they believe, and it proves out to
Absolutely.
be different.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind right off the top of my head, and like I said, I just got this an hour ago. To protect the health and/or safety of persons, the camera system was directly responsible for identifying a individual who had a silver alert issued out of Vermont. We were able to see her sitting in her car, arose our suspicion, went out and checked on her. She was incoherent, and rescue responded, took care of her. They left, but took care of her. But she had been out there for a while and was in dire straits. So that was direct. And we've had a couple of incidents like that, but that one right off the top of my head, as well as assaults and all kind of stuff that we watch with the camera system.
But it also protects the town from liability of
Absolutely.
wrongful suits.
Absolutely.
Because every place but the bathrooms and
Bathrooms and locker rooms.
locker rooms is covered?
Correct.
Okay. Well, it's just shifting the bucket which bucket to which bucket in what year, but
Right.
I get it, so, well, Naomi and I will probably figure it out.
I
Yep.
think you have to consider it in case, worst case.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
He's here for you to consider it worst case.
Yes.
That's why we
Thank
put it
you.
on the table.
Yeah, I'll talk to her later and then we'll figure it out and send
Okay,
you a response.
thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Okay. Jason hiding back there? There he is.
You wanna take care of Denise first?
Yeah, let's do Denise first. She's not getting paid. Although Jason probably has something productive to do, but,
So I gave you each an updated sheet since I met with you last. I did have an opportunity to find out more information on the East Road property. I met with the Board of Selectmen on Monday to review with them sort of what we found to date to get some guidance as to whether or not we should even put any more work into this or not. And they took are taking some steps to get some clarification on the property. I also did receive a call.
you mean on using the fields?
Yeah, so just as a quick reference, since I was here, I was able to find in the warrant article, the actual warrant article, the documentation of the conversation that the town had prior to the vote, and then the vote itself, which indicated that the property should have approximately 20 acres set aside for athletic fields, 12 acres for gravel, and then the remainder conservation. I also discovered, working with the state forestry, that that property has never been put into conservation. So it is unofficially in conservation, so there is no conservation on it. The Board of Selectmen has the opportunity, along with the Conservation Commission, to take action.
Another urban legend shot down,
Well,
maybe.
one of the things the selectmen voted to do was to get a legal opinion.
Sure.
Because I don't want anybody to take what I found, but I was able to pull documents from the state that showed that property as unofficial conservation land. And I had shared with you at the last meeting the minutes from the commission meeting, which talked about setting aside the fields for agricultural. However, if you go back to what the town voted, that is not in line with what the town voted. So we're in the process of seeking guidance from legal, which would then drive whether we move forward. So I kind of changed this up a little bit.
Sure.
What I presented to the Board of Selectmen is that it would be a 5-year plan, starting with securing funding to get a engineering firm to help with the site work, the layout, possibly a little bit of road work to get the first year. And the engineering company, once we secure that, we'd have a better idea of how many fields we could do a year and what the cost of that would be, and obviously come every year before the voters to approve or not approve. I did hear from one of the firms since I was here last that I reached out to. They are putting together a proposal. No money, they know that they're doing it free. They know this has to go out to bid, but I shared with them the approximate size of the property, the types of fields we're looking for, the work that would be done, and they're gonna give me something in writing so that I can, if we do move forward, have better numbers for you. These numbers are just kind of a estimate. But the Board of Selectmen understood that, and we know we have a little bit of time.
Okay.
If you guys approve this and it moves forward, to get more accurate numbers.
Well, let's talk about this year. Between now and 3 or 4 weeks, when do we start the rounds of presentations there, Naomi?
I don't know,
Couple-
I'm gone next week,
2 or 3 weeks?
yeah.
Okay. So you've got a placeholder of 100,000, and you've got some clarity of what the path forwards is. I guess the difficulty is, if you had something a little firmer, we could go forward. So I'm trying to figure out how to do this in case something, because technically speaking, the selectmen can modify anything we do
Right.
up to December, is it, when they do the warrant or something? I forget what the dates are. So,
So Sherry could correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but I got the sense from the meeting the other day, they understood that there were some additional hurdles.
Sure.
Including the legal recommendation and me waiting for this proposal to come back. Hopefully, I was hoping it would be here today, but it wasn't. But they seem to have an understanding that these numbers might have to change. But conceptually, moving forward with looking at the use of that east-ware property, they seemed okay with. So they understood that I might have to come back in 2 weeks or 3 weeks and change this number.
Okay.
And it could be lower, it could be higher, I have no idea.
right, I'm just trying to figure out what we as a CIP can commit to. Usually we have a pretty crisp idea. I understand the nature of the beast here. So, as we stand or sit here today, it's $100,000 for a request for 2024.
That's correct.
Okay.
And there's a possibility that, again, where Athletic has offered potential to offset some of that cost, but again, I can't commit
can't
to that. So and again, I'm gonna be honest, this is really just an estimate of what it might cost to retain the firm to do the site work and possibly do whatever we might need to do to make the road passable in there before we could even think about putting a single field in there in 2024. So that's where we're kind of coming from, and this being a 5-year plan, not trying to do it all in 1 year.
I think we understand what we are.
I got a question.
Go ahead, sure.
This work on the road to make it passable and stuff like that, I mean, this is town property, they got the pit up behind it that they have to access to get through. I mean, is there any chance any part of that could be done by the DPW?
So I was just talking, because there is a very large pile of gravel already out there. You know, the possibility of using the gravel already on the site, using them to do that. Again, that's why this number could very easily be adjusted down, up. I'm just trying to put a place
Well,
marker.
Just so I get
Yeah.
it straight, this $100,000 is to fund engineering to determine what the art of the possible is on the site?
It's more than that, actually, and if
Okay.
you read what I added, it really is to begin the 5-year plan under the guidance of an architectural engineering firm, which, again, we would have to put it out to bid
Sure.
and then begin to pay them, and to look at maybe even to begin the road work, site work there, so that we would be ready in 2025 to start actually putting fields in place. So it's more than just securing the firm.
Got it.
It is beginning to at least try to do some work on the site
Got it.
so that we could come back in year 2 with a recommendation of whether we put 1 field in or 2 fields in or whatever that might be. If I came just for secure the fee for the firm, and they did all the layout, and then we can't even move forward with making the road passable. I mean, you can drive in there, but it's really,
Sure.
there's some work that needs to be done. And when I get the proposal from them, it will help me to better refine that number and what we're gonna do. Again, I'm just trying to keep this process moving
Sure.
while I'm waiting for additional information.
No, I understand.
And it could all be dead if legal says, sorry,
Right.
what you're interpreting is not correct, and you cannot use that part of the property, because we all determined the back part of the property is not a viable piece of land for any kind of field.
You can pick any other place in town where buy the land and make it suitable versus putting the money into that.
That's
place.
correct, that's correct. So if we cannot use the front acreage,
It's dead.
then this proposal will come off the table.
Okay, we'll condition that. Thank you,
You're
Denise.
welcome. Thanks.
Thanks, Denise.
All right. Jason? Any updates from you?
Good morning. I know you guys wanted some numbers for what the state was paying for mowing. The only thing I could come up with was $35 an hour. Doesn't make sense to me that they're renting a tractor with an operator for $35 an hour. Maine DOT is paying somewhere around 100, as well as Vermont DOT. So I'm not, I tried to get clarification. They haven't got back to me quite yet, but
I'm familiar with some of those numbers years ago, so I don't want to talk to that, but that's probably like a low horsepower tractor with a bush hog on it, is my guess.
yeah,
Like
it's a
very
completely
small
different.
one.
Yeah.
You're talking about a boom mower, that's gonna be
It's a
way
completely
higher than
different
that.
type of mowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I noticed the vehicle you pick is for the mower, is a John Deere, like 50 horsepower, 60 horsepower tractor?
It's a little higher.
Okay.
Yeah.
And aftermarket boom and a cutter, right?
Yeah, so it's all right from the same place.
Okay, it does come from a vendor?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
so they
the
buy the
whole-
tractor and put it on?
Yep, the whole setup.
Now, the very nature of those cutters is sort of a self-destruct, depending what you hit. It could be potentially a high-maintenance item.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna come down to the operator. We have good guys down there that aren't gonna run a mower into a
Sure.
stone wall, but
That stuff does happen.
it does, it does. It
So
can
the one
happen
you-
with anything,
Well, the
really.
one you got, is that not fit for service in the future? I see it being moved around the town today, though, is that one yours, the yellow one that I keep popping up around the town?
No,
Whose is that? That's the state?
DOT, yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
On this setup that you showed, I don't have it in front of me right now, but I saw somewhere on the boom it said 80 horsepower minimum. And one of the things with these boom mowers, which I'm pretty familiar with, is that they have trouble when they hang them on smaller tractors. You can see that it's hooked to kind of the side of the tractor. And so there's a lot of stress there. They actually break transmission housings on some of the smaller tractors.
Yep.
So my recommendation would not be to go, if you look at the John Deere models that you have here, I believe the salesperson was putting it on this, like a 80 horsepower tractor.
Yep, the
And-
first one is a 5075M.
Yeah, so,
73.
the one that he recommended, I believe, was the 5095, which if you look at rated power takeoff horsepower is 80. And when the boom mower was referring to minimum horsepower, they're talking about power takeoff horsepower.
Yep.
So if you're gonna purchase that setup, I would go with a larger tractor like the 90 or the 105, because the transmission casing would be a lot beefier in those size tractors. 80 horses like they usually run the same frame from like a 55 to a 80, 85 in that range. And then they go to a whole larger frame tractor when they go above, up to around 100 and above. So I know that there's a lot of models out there that don't hold up. I don't know about this John Deere, but some of them don't hold up to the kind of stress. So I think it's important because, you know, even talking about damage to the mower, the more you keep up with that stuff, if you wait 10 years and you run that boom out into the trees, you can't see anything. But if you keep up with the roads and keep up with the mowing, it's going to reduce your maintenance costs. So I think this is is a huge thing to keep that, number one, to keep the maintenance costs down, but also visibility on the roads. I mean, there's a lot of intersections and stuff like that that you can't hardly see traffic coming when you are approaching the intersection. So I think for safety too, it's an important piece of equipment. But it's important to get the right setup to start with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
But that number you have it, what is it, 175? That won't cover the larger tractor with it.
That is the budget quote that he gave me.
Based on an 80?
5095.
I thought I saw that somewhere.
Yep, so that's the 80 horsepower.
Jason, have you looked at any other tractors besides John Deere, like, you know, New Holland or Kubota or,
No, so these,
just curious if,
Fairfield is pretty much kind of the only game in the state with Alamo now, so this is just the budget quote that I got from them, and that's what they sell is the John Deere. Obviously, it would go out to bid, and if we could find something cheaper somewhere else, then great, but
Is this a rotary cutter, or is this like a Barnosaurus?
rotary. Yeah, the one we have is a flail type mower. And we just end up flinging blades everywhere and they land on people's porches and not very good.
Well, and again, if you keep up with it, you know, it makes it easier on everything. So it's a good, I think it's one of those pieces of equipment that the investment that you make into it is gonna save you money in the long run. I mean, think about putting somebody out there with a chainsaw on a slope, on a steep slope, then you gotta get rid of the brush and stuff like that, so, you know,
Yeah, and you're
cost-wise, you drive along with a mower, you're
Not
gonna,
cutting grass and
right,
stuff like that with
Yep.
a chainsaw.
yep.
Okay, well, when we get our deliberations, we'll consider that, okay? And we'll ask him to update it if we need to. All right, road reconstruction. I understand the 283 we get from the state, 600,000. And you said it was $87 a ton, put it down? For the
87 or
asphalt?
82,
Okay.
couldn't remember. Let's see.
Now, I remember that number being in the 60s. Remember that number being in the 70s, 60s? So you're really, $600,000 is buying 25 to a third less asphalt than you were in the past. So,
Yeah, inflation is definitely a problem. I know we asked for the 600,000 last year and we didn't quite get there, so,
yeah, I'm talking about even the year before.
yeah.
We were up,
Yeah.
I forget what we were up the year before, but the cost per ton was in the 60s, as I remember. So you're getting, even though you're increasing it to 600, you aren't getting the same amount of coverage you were in the past,
Yep.
which kind of means you're falling behind a little bit faster. The reason we picked this $2.5 million road reconstruction bond that we did 4 years ago now is because we weren't able to preserve roads. We were too busy fixing extremely bad roads.
Yep.
As a result, we were creating more bad roads that we couldn't cap or chip coat.
Yeah.
So,
In that bond, we were able to make a lot of progress across town.
oh yeah.
There's not too many roads that are still red listed.
Are you comfortable
there's-
going forwards with the amount of coverage you got here? Because you have to do last year's 1 inch that you didn't put on, because you wait a year, right? So you have to finish the 1 inch on last year's road,
Yep.
and then buy asphalt for that, and then go figure out how many miles of, red roads you're gonna basically grub out and relay the bed down, and put 1 inch, a 2 inch base, and wait for the next year to put the cap on it.
Yeah, so on the size of our road system, we have about 100 miles. In order to keep up to where we really should be, we should be asking for $1 million a year. I think that's a pretty far stretch from what we asked last year. I think that's a big burden on the taxpayer, really, to ask for that much in such a short amount of time. I like the plan that has been in place for the last 5 years of slowly moving it up to get there.
I guess what I'm getting at is, I do agree with you. That would be the flinch factor, you know.
Exactly.
To see that. But what that does say is, in 10 years, if any of us still around, we'll be looking for another multi-million-dollar road bond to go and really bring roads up to date like we did 4 or 5 years ago.
Yep. I don't think we'll be in that situation 10 years from now,
Okay.
just based on that bond that we've had and the progress that we have made in the last 5 years.
Because that bond was basically to fix all the yellow roads, which were, things are gonna go 3 years, 5 and 9 years, and not to fix the red ones. And we're fixing the red ones, so, okay. I thought it was worth a conversation because, we are losing purchasing ground on the 600.
Yep.
Okay. All right, any other questions on this topic?
What about putting a 10% increase in yearly? To make up your difference in the price of your pavement?
Yeah, I think that's what we need to do going forward is,
Well, let me ask, that's a good point. When do you know next year's cost of asphalt? The next year's, meaning when do you know your cost of your asphalt in 2024?
When we go out to bid, really,
When is that?
as soon as.
I thought it was this fall.
No,
Is it during the current year?
they aren't gonna provide you that.
No,
They wait till they open.
In
And
the
Okay.
spring, in the spring.
yeah.
March.
So-
there's nothing they're gonna.
That's right.
So we won't know what it would be.
No, and even the bid is subject to change on,
It's subject to
Rates.
how much
yeah,
bitumen they have
yeah,
and what price it sells for, because it's on, we don't make that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a byproduct. Yeah. Okay, just trying to think out loud here, so we really can't determine next year's very well cost. We just have to go with what we got.
yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what you paid last year, Jason? Was it 70-something?
82.
82?
So this is based on 82. And by the way, this is everything. Calcium chloride, guardrails, culverts.
Culverts, we have a guardrail line, we have a gravel road maintenance line, which typically is where calcium comes from.
Okay. You changed that, okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, road maintenance, reconstruction, culverts, bridges, asphalt, kinda. Cold patch. Well, we have a cold patch line. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, back on the, that mini prime mover there, the, what do you call it? The battery power trailer mover, trailer caddy.
I think I have a video, as
Oh,
long as the computer stays on.
Yeah.
I didn't bring it up for it, so you have to have it on it.
From DJ Products allows employees to easily and safely maneuver semi-trailers up to 100,000 pounds. This compact and powerful unit can push or pull trailers up and down inclines as well as through snow, sleet, ice, or rain. At a fraction of the cost of a high-maintenance yard truck or shunting service, the Trailer Caddy is a much more cost-effective and efficient solution that can be operated by any employee. No CDL or health card required. The Trailer Caddy allows for exceptional maneuverability and precise turning in tight spaces and crowded areas. It's the ideal solution for manufacturing operations, distribution centers, warehouses, and anyone who needs to relocate empty or loaded trailers at a moment's notice. The Trailer Caddy terminal tractor's hydraulic lift system lifts ton weights up to 30,000 pounds. The onboard air brake system lets the operator release the brakes on air brake equipped trailers, and the variable speed throttle helps one operator to safely and easily control trailers. Simply put, the Trailer Caddy is a cost-effective trailer moving solution to save time, improve efficiency, and provide safety for businesses and employees. For more information, please visit our website and speak with one of our experienced sales engineers via online chat or phone at 1-800-686-2651.
how long has that product been around for? I mean, these guys, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years?
I don't know the specific company, but that technology's been around for a while.
Okay. I mean, it is, it is a small rig, but I mean, what do our Packer trailers weigh out full loaded? Are they 50,000 pounds?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole truck and trailer going down the road is 98,000. The trailers are all steel construction, so they're pretty heavy.
Well, the tractor is 14 ton.
Do our trailers have 3 axles or 2 axles on them? 3, so a lot of that trailer weight's on the axles even.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Even, so they were talking about tongue weight, which
Yeah.
is, yeah.
30,000.
Yeah, we're well within the
Yeah,
30,000 ton weight.
even if it's full.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, the current the 8,000 Louisville or whatever it was, is that getting towards the end of its life?
Very much so.
Okay. And is it an issue with frame or just the general maintenance of it?
Motor transmission.
Okay.
The transmission is on its way out. Clutch is definitely almost gone.
Engine and transmission would cost you more than $52,000, wouldn't it?
You'd be getting up there
Yeah.
and putting the labor into that specific vehicle is just unrealistic in my eyes.
There's no end to it.
Yeah.
And then, any other questions on this? Let's go to your, just so I get all the facts on your 10-wheeler. Where is it? I lost it. There we go. So, the full-up truck price is how much each truck?
280.
$280. And you think you're gonna get some money out of the federal government so that the net for each truck is 56?
That is our best case scenario.
So, when will you know you got the money in the bank?
It'll be hopefully next month.
Oh. So, if you don't get, well, is it a binary issue? Either you get it or you don't, or you don't know the exact amount?
It's up to 85% reimbursement.
Oh, okay, 85. Let's just suggest you get 0. Are you looking for 1 truck, or are you looking for 2?
I would still like to ask for 2.
Okay, just want to make sure. Yeah, I've seen the condition of your vehicles, and your plows, and the back beds. Explain what happens when you got a snowstorm, and you're trying to get all your vehicles up and running.
So it can be pretty hectic. We have a truck that blows the chain.
You mean on the spreader on the
On the
back?
spreader in the back. That truck's gotta come back to the shop, and that route is down for as long as it takes us to change that. Could be upwards of 5 hours.
Now, the mechanics are no longer plowing at that point.
The mechanic would no longer be plowing at that point, as well as the driver. So you've got 2 routes down, and then you've got whoever can go around and help. So their route suffering. So you're coming down to about 3 people who are down if only 1 truck breaks. There's been many times where it's been 2 chains, 3 chains, a hydraulic line,
An axle,
anything. Yeah.
and then you've got more than the truck driver. You probably got 2, because somebody's got to go drag him home. Right, so what I'm
Yeah,
trying to
so-
get at is, what is constant in the amount of money we pay people, and the work is variable based on the availability of the vehicles to be utilized for service. Is that a way to say it?
Yeah.
We had a lot of that this past winter, so I hope people remember that when it comes time to vote in March.
Short memories. Can't be possibly that bad this year.
We'll see.
But this has been the story for a long time.
Yeah, it's not new. When you haul salt in a truck for 15 to 20 years, it's nothing good comes out of it.
And again, just Use a 12-yard, 10-wheel,
Yep,
hard ox bodies.
Yep.
plows.
same trucks we've been going with that have been working great for us. They're a little bit shorter 10-wheeler, they get around great where our 6-wheelers used to get around. They hold more material.
And these are retiring 2 of your 6-wheelers.
Yes, sir. Yep, 7 and 8. It should be the last of the 6-wheeler Volvos that we have.
I understand they're just a challenge to keep the engine running with the electronics.
They are. Yeah, Volvos are a little bit of a nightmare when it
They
comes to
say we don't
electronics.
even want to fix them anymore, right?
It costs a lot of money.
Well, any other questions for Jason? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point, you're welcome to stay or go do something productive. We do our whiteboard?
Yep.
Looking at Naomi. Anybody want to take a break for a moment?
Just give me 1 second.
That's okay.
Thank you. Updated?
Oh, thank you. That was, oh, yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Somebody took my markers.
That was quick.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw him come back in.
This is the bulk that we're talking about.
Well, that was you. Okay. I saw, I was up on the roof last night when I got all those meetings, and then I looked at it. I'm gonna figure out who this is.
I had that guy in my driveway last night.
What is that about? Neat, huh?
Oh, I thought you were gonna do that on the
I've seen him
computer.
for a couple years now, but I used to see him up on, by the meadow,
It's all right.
yeah, on 149.
Sometimes it's easier, just write it, right?
But somebody was up behind the house the other day and I saw a black bear. I said, well, I hope he stays up there, 'cause I'm gonna have to pull the bird feeders.
Where are we gonna start?
Whatever you wish.
Start the order you want in today?
That's fine.
Right, so we started?
Yeah.
You guys got new updated sheets?
Yeah.
Okay. $1 million is a big to bite, but if you've ever gone and bought a new car, it's not any different. Increase is an increase. It's just, I mean, and they're selling cars off the lot for 70 to 100 grand just for you to ride around in, not to sleep in. You know, inflation is what it is.
And
And this is good for
it's not over.
30 years?
It's gonna be
40
30 or 40, be well beyond us.
Right.
Everybody in the room probably.
And the time it takes to get it,
Yeah, it's gonna take you almost 2 years to get it.
we won't be in the negative because we'll.
Right.
The other thing to consider too, is that, as he explained, that's not gonna be used where that engine is today, or has been. It's a vehicle rotation. And so, as the town gets busier, which we are, call volume and usage hours, it's important to keep up with the replacements, even though we're stretching them out because vehicles are lasting longer. You know, it's important to keep up with that rotation, not just the vehicle itself, but if you end up with the other two pumpers that are both hours and miles beyond what they can service, now you're looking at a lot bigger purchase, so that's one of the reasons why it's really important to keep up with these rotations.
Yeah, and I mean, it's an 87.
Yep.
It hasn't got a lot of miles on it, but sitting doesn't help either. But you have to be able to function and be there when the whistle goes off. We have an obligation to protect people. So when the bell goes off and they go, they have to be able to have the right equipment to do what they need to do.
$1 million is a sticker shock over the last. But the problem is, we're not done with this inflation.
No.
I didn't think I'd live long enough to see used pickups selling for over $100,000. But they are.
Over 100,000 miles.
For used, I mean, they're not real used, but they're still used. I know the new ones have been up there for a little while, but I'm seeing, you know, like 1-year-old used trucks for over 100,000 depending on the package, and I never thought I'd see that.
So that's, okay. Now we have the roadside mower, goes with that.
No, we're at the,
No, that's
we're still at the
highway.
fire.
Doing fire.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are we done?
I think,
Are you guys gonna move it forward, I guess is your answer.
yeah,
I would say that.
I'd say yes. I mean,
Sorry. Keeping your glasses on.
put blue for yes.
Then police was next.
Yeah.
So he's got the cruiser. And I believe he said 85.
Yep.
He had 2 items.
They're the cameras.
The camera's on there because
Yep.
we haven't, today we don't know the answer, today we don't know. We can talk about purchasing policy, but at the end of the day, still has to go to selectmen. The cruiser is 85. As he said, some of the stuff he'll be able to use, but he's not sure. I don't know what their out date is. I don't think we asked that. He could be another year out.
That's our annual cruiser replacement, I mean,
Right.
we need to do that.
And he gave you the cost
Yep.
for the maintenance on the Dodges.
Yeah.
And that's,
The same problem I spoke about with Jason about having people that we pay full benefits, retirement, medical, and everything else, sitting around waiting for a truck to get fixed. Same problem here. In the past, we had most of our, what little staff we had was ferrying vehicles between the police station and the repair shop. There's, I mean, that's not their prime job, and any time they spend away from that job, we're not getting the protection we're purchasing.
And it takes two men and 2 cars to do it.
Yeah,
They're
So-
good down.
we need, the estimates we've done for the years has been 5 frontline patrol vehicles, and this is just updating one of the 4. And this, what's coming off the stack, I think, is a Dodge.
What will come off the rotation is a Dodge, and he is sticking with the full-size SUV, the Tahoe, which is what the state troopers, I think, are using too. They've even gone to Suburban, some of them, so.
I'm good with that. You guys
So
okay
you
with
guys
that?
all set with the cruiser?
Yeah.
I think the building camera, you brought home a point. It just saves us for the wrongful that might come in.
It wasn't that long ago, we're paying $600,000 a year for our liability insurance, when we should have been paying $85,000 a year, because all the payouts,
Right.
it's not, we don't have insurance, we have a risk pool, which we have to give back 85%. They give you the check, and you gotta pay it back. I just think it's, if we have to fund $35,000 to make sure that all the facilities of the police and outside are covered, I think that's just cheap money compared to the,
Lawsuits.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
And it may or may not stay with you, we won't know.
Correct.
It's still September.
but still, I think it's, having upgraded with a digital system,
Higher resolution and everything else.
I'm good with that. You guys okay with that?
Yes.
You may, at the end of the December, not
evaporate.
see it, so, but,
Well, go to different pot of
Plus
money.
the repair cost is starting to really get up, and at some point, they may not be able to repair it, so,
We just,
They can't
we're
now.
at now.
okay,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, this one here is really soft as far as a request goes. But I think Denise should be commended for
yeah, she's done a lot of work.
doing the spade work on this. And the select board as well, backing the process of going forwards. So, this could all blow up with the, opinion from the attorney.
Yep, and it also, if the opinion is even to go forward and WAC has some money, depending on the quotes, it could be lessened, you know what I mean? There's still a lot of moving parts as of today. But she did her due diligence Monday night, came forward with the same presentation. She's done an awful lot of work. We just need to figure out why 10 years ago we never completed the conservation easement, because you voted on it in 2013. And so when the town voted on it, the intent was to have a conservation easement. We just now never finished the cycle, and here we are in 2023. So,
Well, the select board's even if this gets passed through the town meeting, the select board will pay this out, correct? They're the agent to spend this money,
that fair?
100K?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, we don't do this very often. Can't remember when we did it last, but I'm good with the philosophy going forwards.
It's a 5-year plan,
Yes, that's the first tranche right there.
and without any real numbers, she tried, but they didn't get any numbers from her today.
Chances of it being that number is slim to none. I mean,
Right.
it's gonna be engineering cost, she hasn't even got a proposal for that yet. She thinks we'll have one within a month.
Well, let's try this. Since we don't have this, this is sort of a gaseous or a semi-liquid at this point, not even a solid. Let's say in late October, early November, selectmen do decide on something, and there's enough information coming forwards. I'd be happy to propose an amendment through email.
Yeah.
And
What
let
we can do
people,
is, once we find out the legal opinion, you guys are all on an email chain. So once we have the legal opinion and the board wants to move forward and we have some solid numbers, we could let you know that this is the new number, it's current,
we
it's
could
real.
take an email vote on it. But for now, I would leave it in, and subject for it to come out if the legal says no.
Right.
And if we have a firmer number, I'll socialize that information with you guys, and we'll take a vote. So for now, leave it in as a placeholder.
I'm asking you.
Yes.
Yes.
We okay?
This is, I mean, I don't remember how many years ago they were considering Inison and other places, and I think this is probably the best place.
It
where-
is.
And where you have material possibly close by. You know, I think, again, the investment is gonna be a lot less for the same product than if we tried some of these other options, so.
And this site is expandable. It's not like
Yeah.
we're maxing the thing out and can't do anything further down the road. It's not like we're putting infrastructure in place that can't be
Yep,
expanded on.
so, see where it goes.
So at the moment, I think he asked on the mower was 175, even though Steve brings up a point of, the size, but I don't have a quote for the size. Also, doesn't care what brand it is, it still has to go out to bid. And it's a budget quote which we get all the time, and it's not until you have the money sitting in place does someone ever sharpen a pencil.
Correct.
So we might be able to do what he wanted to do when there's a sure, knowing that there's money there without a finance. Don't know that. I don't sell tractors for a living. I only know someone that might.
Well, and there are, in that industry, you know, you can kind of see, if you do a little bit of work, what are the most common, the easiest for them to mount, et cetera, all that, so that can be down the road.
Mower?
I think yes, because I think we're gonna have problems down the road. We don't have one to mow the roads. So we got, either better buy a new one or a second-hand one, and you may get a lot of problems.
Yeah, the used ones are generally wore out.
Wore
and
out, worked hard.
That's the situation that we're in now, is we bought one that was
Used
worn
and-
out.
And that is 56.
Well, we kinda got our money's worth out of it, I think. It ran a couple of years.
Well, yeah, we get the money's worth out of it.
Put a lot of money into it, too.
So the mower's a replacement asset, correct?
Correct. It's what we have that's not working at the moment is a 1995 New Holland, which he told you the first time that it's gonna be between 15 and 20 to make it work. We did do some roadside mowing this year for what was in the budget, but we only got a few weeks out of that. But that's all we had.
And I think that, he said something about that was 13,000 to do
It was. They can
just a
only
few
do-
miles of road,
Right.
not very much.
Right, because that included the person and the tractor. And if you take the $100 an hour, you don't get many roadside mow miles for $13,000. When I think he said there's 96 or a little bit more than 100 miles of road in town.
Yeah.
What do you pick first? So your answer is?
Yes,
Yes.
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 Move on to the caddy. You all saw the video and how it worked.
Now, I didn't ask the question because I didn't think about it, but this is a transfer-only piece of equipment? Transfer.
Yeah, those are the only ones that we have those big
Is there
trailers
any
for.
funds from recyclable or whatever it is, the special?
Well, you
revenue?
started a reserve item, was it last year we started the revenue fund? And 50% of the revenue goes into that every year?
What do you think, because what do we got in there now? Do we?
I don't know.
According to his CIP, he's taking it out of his special revenue.
Yeah.
The total cost?
Yeah, in the CIP packet, it says it's gonna come out of the revenue fund.
So that wouldn't be any cost. to
Well,
the
it's when
road.
we craft the final taxes that you guys, this is the overall package for capital items. It's over
How they
$15,000
get
they have
paid?
to come
is
here.
another issue.
How we pay for it and how it's funded. For instance, just like here, you know, it's funded differently. Just like here, you've got some offset here. So it's capital project, capital items, capital assets. How you pay for them is a different thing when we write the articles, and we have all the answers.
Yeah, we don't have a tractor other than that.
That L8000,
L8000.
the green Ford, yeah.
It's the only tractor with a fifth wheel.
And Transfer station, we don't have anyone up there that has a CDLA, which requires you to have the CDLA to move it, because you are intertwining with traffic. So you have to call in someone on overtime to take out a trailer. This doesn't require the CDL, as the video said. You know, and if you lose a motor or transmission, then what are you gonna do then? We don't even have a tractor to move it. I mean, it's on its last leg, I get it, but we have to think a little bit ahead, try to be proactive versus reactive, which is why Jason came forward. You know, there's talk of taking our own trash, but it's not gonna happen right now. We're gonna have a hard time plowing snow because we don't have enough staff. Just telling you right now. People have to be prepared for that.
It seems like for the use of, basically, you're changing the trailers on the trash unit. And that's why we're probably having clutch problems and stuff, because it's a lot of short, and you don't want to slam into the hopper
Right.
with the machine,
So you
which
slip in your
has got to
clutch
be
to-
hard to do
yeah.
with that tractor.
Well, that truck is,
So I
that's seen
think,
its best days.
yeah, but I think for a lot of reasons, that type of unit would be better than an actual truck to be able to maneuver and
And it's not like we're doing it on the
gently
hill.
connect up
It's
to
a nice
the
flat
hopper
area.
and things like
Yeah.
that, so.
It's not like I worry about a hill, but it's all flat there.
Pretty flat, yeah.
Yeah.
So, the special revenue fund is the source as it stands right now? Is it, what they call it?
Yes, no?
Yes?
I
Yes.
think it's good.
Down to road reconstruction. That right now, anticipation is 284 from the highway block grant. We don't know that, it's kind of estimate, so that would put your taxation number at 316.
We don't have that money, everybody's on vacation for the summer, right?
Well, you'd go do this much,
284.
and with the
I'm
price
saying
of
if we don't
asphalt,
have the
yeah.
two. Yeah, but we don't have the 600,000. People don't have anything to do in the summertime.
What did they get last year?
So last year, remember, we did 6, we went to 640, and then the selectmen, there was money left over, so we reduced the total ask to 5, because there was money left in the capital reserve fund. And they still had about $600,000 available to them, but we reduced it
Yep.
at the warrant article, because there was money in the capital reserve fund. So the ask was similar.
I said it's 640.
It was 640, because you talked about increasing 40 for the library parking lot. That's where the 40 came from.
Correct.
Is there any in the account now left over from this year to bring forward for next year?
I don't,
No, we haven't done our road reconstruction work.
yeah, we haven't done the
It
construction
could
work
be
yet,
low, yeah.
because we just did the paving bids, so. We
Question-
don't know today is how much is left.
Question for Jason would be is he gonna do the library?
Well, there's also discussion, as you know, of a whole addition and renovation, so we'll have to see.
Okay.
I think it's anticipated, but I can't speak for him. It was discussed right here last year, so.
So that's 600, pretty much no increase over last year.
I say go for it.
We gotta keep up, we gotta keep up,
Gotta keep the roads up.
yeah.
And your last one is 2 10-wheelers, one of which he's hoping to get, as he said, through the grant, which would give you a net cost of 56 if we get approval for the grant. So one could be 56, one could be 280, or two could be 280. We don't know, as of today.
We requested 2 from the grant.
Okay, requested 2.
Last time we were here, he told me 56 times 2.
Right, 112.
How's that? Easy done.
Excellent.
I should give that grant, because that pretty much zeroes out the DPW.
Yeah, it's through the Volkswagen, was it Volkswagen, Doc?
BMW.
Yeah, it's through the Volkswagen settlement something, there was money
They were faking the numbers on their diesels.
Diesel
on the
gate.
diesel, yeah.
Dieselgate.
So that's where it's coming from.
Weaselgate.
It would be nice, I mean, keep our fingers crossed, and it would be nice to get two for, 56 apiece, that would be pretty sweet.
Right.
But they won't see this winter,
No,
if we get the grant.
they're like the fire truck, 18 months.
It's probably gonna be about the same,
Yeah.
yeah. They're all the same, the big trucks are all the same. They're not building a lot of them ahead of time right now.
I say yes.
Yes,
Either way,
Yeah,
Yep.
I've been,
We're here to
I asked for
reflect
2
the
trucks
need.
for
and we will
Forever.
a while
probably,
now to get caught up.
by chance, we get an answer prior to Jack and I sitting down, you may see it one way or the other. But if you agree to move forward with two regardless, then we'll take the numbers, just like we did.
Everything up there, with the exception of the Parks and Rec, is a replacement of the current asset.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec is an expansion of our assets.
Yeah.
And this town doesn't spend a lot of money on Parks and Rec compared to every other town around us.
Correct.
I mean, we're pretty dismal in that regard.
Is that a wrap?
On the 1 million, is that coming out of the equipment fund?
I think that comes out of the ambulance bill.
ambulance.
Yeah, if you look at the bottom line of their sheet they handed out, they made a correction.
Did I miss something?
That's the reserve, isn't it?
Ambulance
Special
billing
revenue?
fund.
Yeah.
Oh, you always take care of me.
Just one thing, it doesn't have anything to do with what the need is, but there's talk about a potential 2025 EPA requirement on trucks. Again, that's gonna significantly increase the price of the trucks.
It's mostly the engine, isn't it?
No,
What else is it?
actually, they're going after pretty much everything that, was told to me, everything that uses petroleum, et cetera, in the manufacture, hoses, belts, tires. And the problem is that when they come up with these requirements like they did before, we don't really have the technology to do what they're gonna ask to do. And so, like tires, if there was an alternative to rubber tires, how we're making them now that would last, we'd already be doing it.
There is an alternative to rubber tires. It's called synthetic rubber. World War II. The question is,
Again, that,
requires oil.
right, and so, I'm just saying that we were getting prices with talk about fire trucks, is they don't know, they were saying probably between $50,000 and $100,000 increase if that goes through for 2025. So. And
So
again,
Beth did the math.
just,
Hey Beth, is it possible if you do a quick calculation to figure out how much of that is impacted by taxes?
It's up there.
Hang on, so, you got total
Okay.
requests, 2,608,000,
Yeah,
less anticipated offsets.
yeah, yeah.
Means your million, your 53 for your caddy, your state money,
And the truck money.
and if the trucks are, the 448 would come off, so that leaves you, so that's what this equals? So this minus this is your net, if everything goes as planned.
Do we know what we spent last year out of pocket based on the actual?
Last year, the
like
CIP
9.
proposed, expenditures minus revenue, 834. I'm not saying all of it got passed, but
Wow, what a deal. And what actually passed? All of it?
I don't know. No, I don't think the 20,000 for the tennis courts.
Okay.
834?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, 834 was what CIP proposed last year.
Well,
You are, in a snapshot.
and what's the total valuation for the town?
Do we have that yet?
800, 900 million?
No, they just submitted it.
I don't know, we just did the
What was
MS
last
one.
year?
I don't have that
850?
committed to memory, I'm sorry.
$1 million? It's not quite $1 billion yet. 837, something like
I want to
that.
say like 895.
So it's less than $1.
It was 1,259,803 was used last year.
Oh, 67 cents. What's that number again? Beth, could you divide that by
Yeah,
8?
we divided everything by $1,259,803.
So take 823 and divide it.
Right. 823 divided by,
1,259,803.
803, yep.
.65.
that was close.
0.65.
65 cents.
Yeah.
And that was basically what we close to spent last year on the tax rate
That's what you proposed.
That's what we proposed,
proposed. Okay,
because
yeah.
some of your stuff didn't pass, so what the net effect is gonna be.
And the tax base can go up
Yes.
next year?
The net assessed valuation, yes, because we got new houses
A lot of
that
new
were
houses.
partially done last year and now are done.
Expensive new houses.
Big mansions.
Well, they're getting a big price for them, built
So,
some of them.
Okay.
thank you guys very much again.
Thank you
The only
again.
thing that, can I just, wait, before you just, everybody leave, not sure we should, I'm gonna refrain from having an email conversation. I think what we could do is regardless of what the lawyer says or does, we're gonna move in that direction as far as Parks and Rec. I guess if you guys wanna move forward with whatever it is, whether the number decreases and whack offsets it and the lawyer says we can't do it, you know, there'll be some changes. I'm just gonna ask that we refrain from emails to each
Okay.
other.
Okay, I just.
Because
think
I don't
that
want,
is-
I'm not conducting business by email, never been a proponent of that, so just gonna ask you not to. If you guys don't wanna do it that way, if you don't entrust Jack and I to do that,
So
I'd
if
like
it's
you to just say that
Not to exceed
now.
100. You
Okay.
guys go to that right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we'll communicate what the real.
We'll let you
answer-
know what happens, how's that?
Yeah.
Sounds
All right,
good.
someone has to move to adjourn, Beth, you wanna shut the,
Move to adjourn.
second?
Aye.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're adjourned.
Gotta wait a minute.